looking forward to today's episode, Vicky D.
We have a lovely guest with us today, don't we?
We do. We have Tori Mystic joining us all the way from the other side of the world. How are you, my love?
Good morning. It's good. It's early morning for me. So, hi guys.
Hi. Whereabouts in the US are you?
I live in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So it's about a 4-hour drive from Washington, D.C.
Cool. Global. Love it.
Indeed. Weirdo. Tori, tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
Yes. So about 13 years ago, I started a blog as a hobby called Wear, Wag, Repeat. And at the time, and maybe even still, my two favorite things were dogs and style and fashion. And so at the time, there was really no fashion and dog blog. There was no one out there who was combining dog mom lifestyle with dog content on the internet. So I was really one of the very first dog mom influencers, believe it or not. Before I started really creating a presence online, a lot of people were posting their dog stuff, and then there was like fashion influencers doing their fashion stuff. And I saw an opportunity to combine the two. However, the dog people ended up being a lot nicer than the fashion blogger people. And so the blog really kind of went in the dog direction because those were the people who were commenting on stuff. Those were the posts that were getting the most traffic. And that really kind of inspired the direction that I've been taking for the past 13 years is just because dog people are super friendly on the internet, and it's a great community to be a part of. And not that fashion is not, but it was just a lot more competition to get into that area of content creation, which at the time, nobody was saying content creation, but that's the buzzword now. And so I've been doing that for the past 13 years or so. And along the way, a lot of people asked me, how did you grow your blog? How did you grow your email list to 10,000 people? How do you do a podcast? How did you make an online course? And so I started teaching other petpreneurs how to grow their business online using all of the digital marketing stuff that I've become really good at. So all that's kind of been simultaneously happening along the way. I do have a podcast called the Wear, Wag, Repeat podcast, where I've interviewed hundreds of women in the pet industry and also done a lot of solo episodes behind the scenes of how I do what I do. And I have a brand new podcast that is about dog enrichment. So maybe 4 years ago or so, my dog Lucy inspired me to get more into trick training and more into enrichment. And I got certified as a canine enrichment technician. And I've had a lot of fun creating content around that and just showing people that, giving your dog the best life possible doesn't have to be difficult or complicated or expensive. It can be fun and easy for both of you.
I love it. There's so much in that. There is so much in that.
You've done a whistle-stop tour of everything in that.
Yeah, there is. There's lots. Okay, so talk.
I like to be busy.
Yeah,
sounds it.
I love it. I think this is why we've connected. Like we're all on the busy plane. Okay, so tell us about them. Did you go into any of this consciously thinking that you wanted this to be a business model, or was it purely this, like, I love the fact that you've even referenced it as a buzzword now, but like actually going in with this content creator, the influencer mindset and just seeing what happens? What was the thought process?
Yeah, so you have to imagine 2012. There was no Reels, there was no TikTok. I don't even think there was Instagram stories. It was a very, very different digital landscape. Blogs were still really in their heyday. People weren't really doing podcasts. Podcasts had existed and kind of people thought they had already had their bubble and already burst. So in 2012, it was just a very different world that we lived in digitally. There was not as much going on. And so I'd had a blog prior to Wear, Wag, Repeat that was just kind of a hobby that was about eco-friendly fashion. And I discontinued that blog and was doing my job. I was a social media consultant for local businesses. So I did have my own business at the time, and I really enjoyed that. And I just needed a creative outlet. And that's why I started Wear, Wag, Repeat. I had a 1-year-old Labrador, and I loved Pinterest, and that was really what my early blog was like. It was dog photos, Pinterest DIYs, fashion photos, all kind of combined together. And it was really just a creative outlet and a hobby. So I did not go into this thinking that it was going to be my business. If I had known that, I might not have called it Wear, Wag, or Pete, because no one can say that. But I went into it with just a passion for sharing, what I love. And I think that, while sometimes I'm like, oh, I wish I had known this was going to be a business, I would have done things really differently. I do think, on the other hand, since I do have such a passion for this, I've seen other people think, oh, I think I could make a buck in the dog space, but they're not really passionate about it. And so they end up burning out or just losing interest in it. But since I am genuinely really passionate about this, I think that's why I've been able to keep going for 13 years.
And was that blog aimed at just dog owners in general then, would you say? It wasn't the plan to aim it at dog professionals, I'm guessing?
No, it was not aimed towards pet professionals. It was really just for, I just felt like there has to be other people out there who love dogs and also love style and fashion and shopping and all that kind of stuff. And at the time, just the internet was not as saturated as it is now. And so at the time, it was just kind of like, they must be out there. Like, are they? I don't know. And it turns out there are a lot of those people.
It's pretty cool, isn't it? And I love how you were talking about needing that passion to be able to continue doing this thing, because I think across multiple industries there are business owners out there that think, oh yes, we can make a pretty penny or two from doing this. And when you've not got that purpose behind you, it can still work, but maybe only for so long. And that's when you do start to run into these problems and everything. So how has your passion evolved over these 13 years then? So from at that starting point to what you've got now?
Well, here comes my dog Bert joining us in the room. He's finally decided I'm not up to anything up here. So it's definitely evolved over the years. I made a video a couple years ago that was just like a silly reel, but I think it kind of sums it up. With my first dog, Lola, we love to go on hikes. I stuffed peanut butter in a Kong for her, and we like to hang out together. And but we didn't really go on any adventures. Lola was really a pet for us, and Lola she was 13 years old when I started Wear, Wag, Repeat. And then Lucy came along, and Lucy was like the first dog that was really my puppy of my own. And I got really into it and started to explore taking her on more adventures and taking her in the car to go different places that weren't walking distance. She loved to swim. We got into dock diving, agility, and different dog sports. And we really got more into it. And then I started doing trick training with her and getting her trick title, and she became a therapy dog. So we started kind of doing a lot more activities, collecting all these dog titles and things like that. And then my dog Bert, who just joined us, he is actually my first rescue dog. And he really I had to learn a lot of different things for him. So he has separation anxiety. He also has some medical needs. He has epilepsy. So he has to take daily meds for that. And then we got into other interesting dog sports based on his interests. So we started doing a sport called barn hunt, where, they try to scent out rats hidden in tubes in the hay bales. And I was like, wow, this is really different than my first dog. I must really be into this dog stuff if I'm spending my Saturday hunting for rats in a barn somewhere. So I think that my I've just gotten more deeper and deeper entrenched and immersed in the different areas of the dog world, and then getting certified as a canine enrichment technician, just taking it to a whole new level of learning more about, behavior and the science of why dogs prefer certain things, or, just a whole new layer to my understanding of dogs. And what's been really great in my business is being able to layer that and give even more, reputable and trustworthy content content. I think that we all know that, being an online content creator or an influencer, so much of it is based on trust. If people don't trust you, you're not going to be a very good influencer. So it was really important to me, maybe 5 years ago or so, I was seeing a lot of people who were first time, they had a 1-year-old dog. It was their first dog. And they're like, I'm an expert in this. And I was like, wait, hold on a second. I really am an expert. I should probably talk this up a little bit more. And that kind of inspired me to, get those additional certifications, learn pet first aid, so I could really share trustworthy information with people.
So can you describe to us a bit about your YouTube channel and what sort of content you put in there? And it's big, isn't it? How many subscribers do you have on YouTube?
Yeah, on YouTube I have like 3,500, which is a nice amount. But I'm always trying to get more get more views and more watch hours on there. So on my YouTube channel, I have all of the videos of my new podcast, Dog Enrichment with Tori Mystic. So that's, as you guys know, you're recording in this beautiful studio. It's so important these days to have your podcast be video. I think that I read that YouTube is the #1 discovery engine for podcasts today. So a lot of people are discovering new podcasts there. So that's a big element of my channel right now. But I also have a ton of DIYs. And I've also shared footage of, Lucy, to do her trick dog certification. We did it virtually. So we submitted a video, and I will share the video on there. So different behind the scenes things, DIYs. Sometimes I'll do product reviews. But a lot of it is podcast content.
Yeah, it's definitely a good channel. I would highly recommend you go and check it out. I was listening to a few of your episodes earlier on, actually, and one of them was all about the launch strategy and everything around what.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, it's we all do this, don't we? Like in this age where digital, I think that digital awareness, and we talk about this quite a lot, that digital awareness is so high on our agenda, and we all think we just need to be everywhere. We need to be all over social media. We need to be doing the thing. But actually the importance of having a strategy around selling the thing that you're going to sell, certainly if it's I think the strategies can vary slightly depending on if you're doing an in-person versus virtual. But what are your thoughts, and how do you almost define that digital landscape then for actually selling your services?
Yeah. So I think you touched on something really important, which is launching. So many of us, no matter what area of the pet industry that you're in, if you're, a trainer or a veterinarian or a content creator, we're launching something. We have some sort of new service, new technology, new offering, new product, something that we want to launch, even if it's a freebie, even if it's a new YouTube video. When you publish that, you're launching it. So it's really important to start talking about things early and start creating that buzz around things early. I don't think that you need to be everywhere. So I have a TikTok account that I grew to 10,000 followers, but I found that my TikTok videos, I'm not even talking about views, because I think we get caught up in these vanity metrics of like, oh, got this many views, I want to go viral. I've had many viral videos, and they don't, for me, generally result in any additional revenue. So, maybe if you're part of one of those creator programs where TikTok or Instagram pays you money, you might make some money. But I had a viral video recently that I made $5.34 off of from Instagram. So I think there's a misconception that, when you get viral views, you're going to make so much money. And it's, in my experience, not true. I think that we can get so caught up in seeing how many followers someone else has or how many views they're getting and thinking that they're so successful and they're doing so well. And it's not always the case. So you don't necessarily need a larger audience. You really want to focus on creating a more loyal audience. And so for me, that means not spreading myself really thin and trying to show up on every different platform, but finding where I really like to be. So in terms of that, for me, it's really my email list. So I'm very active on Instagram. I post my YouTube stuff. And I do reply to every single comment, and I love when people are engaging on YouTube. But for me, the most friendliest, warmest place in my digital landscape of my business is my email list. So I send, really thoughtful, personal emails to people that also incorporate what I'm doing in my business, but I'm just myself in those emails. And I really encourage people to reply, and I always reply to every reply that I get. And for me, that's become one of the most important places to talk about what I'm selling, what I'm doing, what I'm launching, and all of that kind of stuff.
This is really interesting because email marketing is one of the things that our clients struggle with a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And for the reasons that you've said, actually, well, first of all, it's like consistency. They struggle to actually stay consistent. And I'm going to ask you about your, how often do you send them in a second? But for now, I think the other thing that also they struggle with is to be themselves and show up as them and have that connection, that true connection. And I think some people really struggle with the idea of connecting via email because it's a bit of a colder, it can be perceived, can't it, as a bit of a colder platform or a way of communicating. But what would you say well, first of all, how often do you use your list? What helps you stay consistent? And also, what is your biggest tip, I suppose, for that? Because it sounds like, just be yourself, but it's not as easy as that, and we know.
I know everyone loves to say, be authentic.
Yeah.
And what does that mean? So for consistency, I email my list once a week on average. Sometimes there's another email in there. And then also because I'm very into my email, I have different segments of my list. So, I might email just my petpreneur list, something, but I send one email to my entire list every single week. And so it could be about a new blog post. It could be about, a cool product that I discovered, or a funny story that happened to me and my dog Bert when we were out, or it could be about a new podcast episode, or just some general tips. Or sometimes I'll send an email asking people what do you need help with your dog? What's going on? Tell me. And I can point you in the right direction, or I might have the answer for you. So that right there is kind of like a good kind of prompt to get you thinking about how to be yourself in your emails. What I always try to think of is emailing my sister. So I email my sister, I text my sister, I talk to my sister on the phone, we FaceTime. I mean, we DM, we communicate in every possible way. And so I try to think about that as much as I can when I'm emailing my list. So I'll think, how would I write this subject line if I was sending it to my sister Addie? How would I write this email so that it's not coming across as a sales and marketing email, but it's really a personal update. And my business is very personal. My business is me. So for me, that works really, really well. That's not going to work for everyone. The Gap is not going to send out emails like that. Yeah. So you need to be mindful of what works for you and your business. But if you're, a small business, a solopreneur, or you have a small team, I think sending really personal updates like that is a great way to connect with your audience and show them that you are a human. So people like to buy from people that they feel that they know, like, and trust. So that's, you can look up all kinds of marketing stuff about how to build your like, know, and trust factor. But, basically it is kind of sprinkling in personal things. So if I want to talk about a new product, I'll also weave it into a story about something that I did with my dog or something that happened in my life.
And do you have a good response to those emails? Because you said you reply to each of them and you want that personalized touch all the way through. So do you get a good feedback from them?
Yeah. So my email list, I've worked really hard to get my open rate to 57 to 61%.
That's really
which
good.
is a very high open rate in email marketing world. And that's sending out to 4,000 people. So I'm really happy with that. And yeah, a lot of people do reply, which I don't think, there's not really a way to track that metric in your email service provider. But I can see in my inbox, how many replies I'm getting to emails. And that's an important metric for me.
Yeah. And also going back to the launch question, because we started this conversation around launching, I'm guessing that email marketing is instrumental in a launch then, because that's what we would suggest. But yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Because, I recommend, it sounds like a lot, but 3 months before you're launching something, depending on what it is, if it's something big, 3 months before you launch it, you can start putting in your PS, like, PS, I'm working on something that's going to be about XYZ. I can't wait for you to hear about it, and then just kind of start building up that momentum so that people have it kind of in the back of their mind. So, it doesn't always have to be like this email blast that you're imagining that's like a newsletter going out to people. But it can just be your PS line, starting with something as simple as that. And then, once you've built up that expectation, I think it's a lot easier to convert people because it's not like out of the blue, out of left field that they're like, wait a second, I've never even heard of this program. What is she talking about? Because I've been building up the anticipation and the awareness about what it is for literally months.
Yeah.
It's so important to do this. And I think
but that's a skill in itself, I think. Like when, again, we're saying words like weave it in and seed it and maybe put a PS. And I think that sounds, in my brain, totally, I understand all of that. But I know there'll be people listening to
there was a time we didn't know what they
no,
meant,
exactly
yeah.
that. There will be a lot of people listening to this podcast that goes, I sort of get what you're saying, but I'm not sure how to actually execute it. And I think it's a really tricky thing, isn't it?
Yeah. And I think this is where, again, a lot of us, and we've been there, like everything we say, like we've done, we've made all the fuck ups and everything else. But we've used social media in a way where, you have just gone, buy my thing. Here it is. Like, here's a post. I haven't posted in God knows how long, but now here's a thing. Go buy the thing. Or I'm seeing now more so people that have got like incredible following on places like Instagram, and potentially they've been more broad at giving loads of dog knowledge out. And I'm talking about like dog trainers and behaviorists and people here. And then they start to go, oh, well, I need to niche a little bit more. And now I need to get people into our membership programs or into our course and everything like that. But then the followers start to drop and then you're thinking, oh God. But, picking back up on a point you mentioned earlier about it's not like the number of followers makes no difference. It's the quality and it's the loyalty of those. So, kind of tying in all these things with that know, like, and trust. And it's like, it's a big topic really, isn't it? To try and shoehorn into a question for you to answer. But it's almost thinking about for those business owners that have got a decent Instagram account, let's say, and there is an element of know, like, and trust because that account has been curated over the last several years. And now we're trying to get more specific with it, but we're noticing a drop off in follow rate. However, we still want people to come into the membership program. How do you tackle that type of scenario?
Yeah. So something to think about, a couple things here. So first of all, there's a lot of people out there that just want free content and free advice or cute dog photos, and they're not necessarily going to be customers, and that's fine. So if they unfollow you, great, because they're not here for what the new direction that you're headed in, or they're not that they're not here for your best interest, because maybe they love you and support you, but if your business needs to make money and they just want you to give them endless free advice, then that's not really helping you. And I think it can be hard sometimes because we're like, oh, I want to be there for everyone and I want to help everyone. But if your business closes, then you can't help anyone. So you need to really be mindful of that. So that's the first thing, is that there's a lot of people out there who just want free stuff and they're going to unfollow you the minute that you have something to sell. But you're in business. So that's okay. They can go away and that's fine. So first of all, there are a lot of people who are just going to want free stuff from you. And then second of all, you might think, I've created this like, know, and trust factor because I have tons of people following me and they've been engaging with me for a long time. But have you built the like, know, and trust around this new direction and this new thing? Do people trust to buy something from you, or do they just trust you for cute, fun videos every week? So you do almost need to kind of go back to the basics, go back to square one and start building up that trust. And I think it's really important to share, we're all constantly learning new things and working on improving our skills and our knowledge. But are you telling people about that? So that's a really simple thing that we can all start with. For instance, I shared on Instagram already this morning that I'm talking to Joe and Vicky on their podcast this morning, and illustrating to people that we're out here, networking and talking to other professionals and learning from each other. And that is something that your average pet parent or someone who just has tons of followers but not a business, that's the kind of stuff they're not doing. So it's really important for us to talk about how we are constantly trying to, become an expert and learn more and network with like-minded people in our industry. So I think that's all really good stuff to share. And just, really be mindful of that you want loyal people. You don't want the most people. And also, I think being realistic about those conversion rates. So typically, if you have an email list of 100 people and you're launching a new product to them, on average, 10 of those people are going to buy it. So you just have to be mindful of what the realistic numbers are. So you can't expect that you're going to send something out to your 1,000 Instagram followers or 10,000 Instagram followers, and they're all going to buy something from you. The conversion rate on social media is even lower than email. And so that's why I like email, because people are a little bit more engaged. They've opted in to get your emails and open your emails every week instead of just kind of like a mindless scroll on social media. So, just being really mindful that the conversion rates are very, very low. And it doesn't mean that it's impossible, but you just have to have the right expectations.
Yeah, aren't good old conversion rates a slap in the face? Oh. we did a marketing day, didn't we, a couple of weeks ago with one of our mentors, and he was like, and we know about this stuff, right? And he's going like, not sure those numbers are going to work. Like, okay. But it made us actually just take a step back and go like, yeah, you have to do you need a big audience if you're going to be expecting to sell a lot of anything, really. So like, it's looking at that realistic figure and going like, depending on what it is you sell, what the price point is, isn't it? If you've got a low ticket thing, you've got to get a lot of people through the door. And that is not easy.
Rethink those low numbers. I think that, we all get tempted. Oh, that so-and-so has a $9 membership and they've got 1,000 people in it. And wouldn't that be so great every single month? Well, first of all, how many of those people are affiliate referrals, and she's giving an affiliate commission away on some of that income? There's credit card processing fees. There's the hosting platform. There's all these things. And how many people do you need in your audience to convert those $9 members? You need to really think about it because it's not always really worthwhile. You really need to think about the whole picture and how much money you're losing and all of the fees and the commissions and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's a really good point, isn't it? And also, what I want to pick up on is something you said on the last question we asked you about building trust in the new direction or the new product, because I really liked that, because it's such a good point, because you can have all the trust in the world, the loyal audience, all of that stuff, people who know you really well. But as soon as you change something and do something different, there are going to be people who are a bit suspicious. There are going to be people that go, well, that's not what I want or think I want. And you're going to have to work a lot harder, aren't you, to build that. So how do you start to do that? Is it a case of just continually talking about it and just not letting people forget that you have got this new thing and the reasons behind it as well? Would you say that's a good thing to share?
Yeah, I think that's great advice. And I would just start early. So, a lot of us were working behind the scenes on a lot of things, and we think, oh, they know what I'm doing. They know everything that I'm up to. And people don't. Or maybe you've shared it once or twice, but people don't see everything that you share, okay? So we need to share it repeatedly in a lot of different places. And another thing is now with a lot of people searching on AI for things, you need to be a little bit mindful of how you're showing up in AI. So I would recommend asking ChatGPT or Claude or whatever service it is that you like to use, who is Tori Mystic? Tell me what Tori Mystic does. Obviously put your name in there unless you want to know what I do, but see what it says about you. And then you can actually, it's kind of like how people edit their own Wikipedia pages. But you can go on your own website and do some blog posts, edit your about page, maybe do a couple interviews to get awareness about the new thing that you're working on, and AI will pick up on that very quickly. So, for me, it's really important that in every episode of my new podcast that I'm saying that I'm a certified canine enrichment technician. I put that on my about page. I put it on my home page. It's in every single new blog post. I'm putting it now in the captions of my Instagram posts because Instagram posts are now being indexed by Google as of the last 6 months. So it's really important that you put this actual wording in a lot of different places because that's how the internet is figuring out who you are. And the internet being like the algorithms, the bots, all of this kind of stuff. So you need to really spell it out. Having a bunch of Instagram posts where you're talking about, I'm training this dog on reactivity. I'm doing positive reinforcement training. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. That's all great. But do any of your captions say, I am a dog trainer who specializes in blah, blah, blah? So I think that's why we see, or maybe we don't, but I see people doing like about me posts on social media every now and then. And that's something, it might seem like too much or too frequent, but I would recommend once a quarter doing a, hey, here's who I am in case you kind of forgot or we lost paths with each other or you're new here or whatever. Here's who I am. Here's what I do. Here's a fun fact about me. And that is going to help build that like, know, and trust in your new direction. Because, you're about me that you wrote 5 years ago. You're probably not interested in the exact same things now as you were then. So it's important to keep updating that, but it's really important for the internet to know who you are to keep updating that stuff.
Yeah, and that continuity bit is huge, isn't it? Like it, not only for AI, but for the customer to wherever they land on you to be able to find the same information, find the same words, find the same language. It sounds like you, it looks like you, it's all the same. And again, that's a massive trust building exercise, isn't it? So that is not it. Like a good tip, I suppose, would be look at all of the places you're present and are they saying the same things? Are they joined up or are they completely disconnected?
Yes, do an audit of yourself. And I would really recommend asking ChatGPT to tell you about yourself, because it will probably come up with stuff that you're like, but wait a second, that's not what I do. So it gives you an opportunity to go in and fix all of that. So I would definitely recommend doing some kind of an audit and doing it more than once a year, really.
Oh, do you know what? I'm geeking out on this so much. I've been doing a lot of this recently and I keep saying to Vicky, I was like, oh my God, you don't even come up when we search anything. I get random Vicky Davises.
There's a lot more of my name than there is of hers. So she's got a bit of an advantage.
You need to come up with a more unique name.
I'll just change my name.
I know. Dickie Davis. I'm going to stick with it. We'll see what comes up. Do you know what I'm hearing though, as this conversation is just continuing, which I'm loving. I'm sitting here just going like, oh, it's just great.
I love being a spectator.
It's great. I love it. It's the awareness that how much goes into having an online business, an online presence. And I still think there are a good percentage of people out there that think, if I have a Facebook account, if I have an Instagram account, if I have a TikTok, insert any social media, and if I show up not with any real plan, and I just randomly ad hoc post, and again, I will admit, I tend to fall into the ad hoc category more than the purposeful one. but we are purposeful in many other areas of what we do, like this podcast being one of them. But I think that mindset of thinking, oh, if I just post a few things on social media, that's enough. And then we're asking ourselves, why aren't people buying?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And also, I think what doesn't help is we see people who go viral without putting in a lot of effort, and you're like, oh my God, I want to do that. But you need to really, if you do see someone who goes viral and it gives you that feeling of like, oh, I'm jealous, I wish I had that, I recommend that you go actually look at their account, look at their previous videos, how many views were they getting, then look at their bio. Do they actually have a business, or are they just a person on the internet? Because you're not really comparing apples to apples when you look at someone who's gone viral and say, oh, I wish I had that, because we don't really know, unless you do a little bit more research or look into it, where that person's coming from, what their goals are. You have no idea. I mean, you wouldn't really even know unless you ask them what their goals are. So I think it's just important to be realistic about that kind of stuff. But one other quick tip I will share that like this works with how my brain works is, sometimes I'll get excited like, oh, I want to do all these posts. I want to pre-promote my thing. I want to seed all these ideas and concepts, and I'll be really energized about it. And I'll come up with a whole plan. I'll use ChatGPT to say, recommend when I should post this and how I should do this. And I get so excited. And then I schedule a few of them. I do like 3. And then you kind of get distracted. You lose interest, you lose momentum, because it's hard to sustain that for a long period of time. So what I would recommend is, while you are really excited and jazzed up about this, schedule as much as you frickin' can. Because you will get distracted. A client will call you, something else will come up, a project will come up. So it's very, very difficult. The way that my brain works, I don't know about you guys, but it's hard to keep that content calendar going. Everyone talks about, oh, you have a content calendar and you just keep up with your posts. That's never worked for me. I've never been able to follow a content calendar, and I've been in business for 13 years. So somehow I'm making it work. But you need to just kind of latch on to those moments of momentum and schedule stuff ahead. And then you can do like live posts in the interim, in between, mix it in together. But especially if you struggle to do that, like about me or introducing who I am post, just schedule it. One day, sit down and schedule a couple of them to go out throughout the quarter, and boom, it's done.
Yeah. I like the awareness that we all operate so differently, and you can take and mold these things to suit you, to suit your business. I definitely have traits where I can go, I'm so hyper focused on something and I can do it for like several weeks, and then I'm like, this is never going to change, I'm totally in on this, and then the next day I'm like, I'm done with that, like what's the next thing? And I'm so hyper focused on the next thing, you can't keep up with my brain.
Call it a fad in some ways.
I think it's just being an entrepreneur.
Yeah. It's quite an extreme hyper focus. Hyper focus is a very understated word for you, Jo, but she's done it just this last week, actually. She's done very hyper focusing, and I'm kind of like, whoa, I don't know what the hell's going on. So it's just a bit of a hurricane whirlwind type situation.
It's how my head feels as well.
But also we are aware of the differences, and we were literally having like a voice note conversation between us, like going, oh, I feel like this in my head and I feel like that, and we're feeling the same things, and we know why, and we know that we work differently. We work similarly in lots of ways, and we work differently in lots of ways, and therefore like we are good, I think, once we have these open and honest conversations, to go like, that I'm not going to try and be you and you're not going to try and be me, and then it works really well. But actually the hyper-focus thing is a good thing, because you get a lot of shit done when you do that.
Yeah, it's very productive in those moments of time. but
then you just have the crash, the
dip. Yeah.
But if you know that's going to happen, you can kind of plan for it.
Well, this is it. I'm still trying to figure out my brain, because I've only been like acutely aware of it, I think, over the last 12 months, that I do these hyper-focus
that you do have
moments.
A brain.
I was like, yeah. It's like, oh, there is something here. But I think, I don't know, like for me especially, maybe this is that thing that makes me the unique and the weirdo that I am. I'm like, I typically don't have the crashes. I don't know what. I'm so used to it. I think like ever since I was 16, 17, I was thrown into this ad agency world, marketing agency and print agency. And it's just been full on ever since then. And whether it's that whole nature nurture thing, whatever it is, but I'm not used to the crash. I'm just used to being 100 miles an hour all the time. And I actually struggle to relax and slow down. I'm like, what is this? But if I do it, I'll go into the extreme. And I'm like, I can quite happily binge watch Netflix now for about 2 days.
And I have to raise her from the dead again.
But no, I can relate. I had a similar, one of my early jobs when I was like 17, I worked at a magazine. And so it was the same thing. It was like, get all this done, get all this done, get all this done. And then the magazine's published. But before that issue is published, you've already started working on the next issue. So it was just, you're operating at a very high production level all the time.
Yes, indeed. And I think that, the point of me sharing all of that was actually, we can hear all these different business advices, can't we? And we can go like, oh, but like Tori says this and Joe and Vicky says this and then so-and-so says this. It's like, yes, take, because essentially the concept's the same. It's just add your flavoring to it, like put your version of that into that concept, because you will execute it. God, blurring my words together here. You will execute it slightly differently, but the premise is essentially the same thing.
You're human beings, so you're definitely going to execute it differently. That's the beauty of us as human beings, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Well, and I think that what's important to think about is that it takes a lot of time and effort to do all of this marketing stuff. So that's kind of not even what your business is about, probably. If you want to be out there working with dogs and working with people, and then there's also the operations and the finance side of things. Marketing is part of it. So don't get too obsessed by being active on every platform and constantly updating stuff, because you probably have to do a lot of other things in your business and wear a lot of other hats. So you just have to be a little bit mindful about there's other things to do. It's fun to kind of get obsessed and immersed in a marketing thing, but looking at how does it impact the numbers, being really realistic about that, and then for the operation side, how am I going to deliver this? What kind of staffing do I need? You need to look at the whole picture.
Yeah. It's a skill set. I think we all have to keep developing, is that ability to zoom out and go, okay, what is it we're trying to do? What does the business need? What is needed from me? What do I need to outsource? If I can't afford outsourcing at the moment, how am I going to get to that point? Or, I then have to take on that role, which is going to eat into my time and my mental ability and all of that stuff. And this is the crazy path we've all chosen to be entrepreneurs, because we don't have to do all of this stuff.
No, and actually, I was just thinking then as well, like,
just go work down in a shop or something. It'd be a lot easier.
Get an easier job. We do say this, like, it's part of being an entrepreneur. You make your life difficult. Like, that is, you get annoyed by it, but you also get embraced by it and really, like, fueled by it, And it's kind of like, we hear a lot, oh, I just want to be a dog trainer, or I just want to do this, and I didn't sign up for all the rest of it. And I'm like, we've literally just done another episode, and I'm like, I'm sorry, you are going to have to do this work. Like, if you want to reach a global audience, which an online offering is going to do, I'm afraid it doesn't just land in your lap, and you're going to have to put the work in. So when you hear that kind of victim mentality sometimes, you have to question it, don't you? And go, you could actually adopt a much easier strategy here. If you were a local dog trainer and you were targeting a very small area, you'd probably find it would be not easier, but it would be a completely different type of strategy. And you'd be spending your time in different places and probably connecting human to human a lot more than being online. So again, it comes down to having a choice about it, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, I think just being online is kind of like, you're talking about having a local business. If you have a local business and you're in your local neighborhood or town, wherever you live, and you put up a billboard, theoretically, people are going to see that. However, the internet is like Times Square. And if you go to Times Square and you put up that same little billboard, is going to not be very visible. People are going to go buy it. There's much brighter things. There's sexier things. There's more like crazy things happening that are getting people's attention, and they're not going to see your little billboard about your business. So it's harder, I think, in a lot of ways. People think, oh, the internet, and people also think, oh, it's free. Social media is free, so I can go out there, and they might not have been in business as long as we have to know about magazine ads and billboard ads and radio ads and all this other kind of stuff that businesses used to do to market their businesses. And now we all just think, oh, I'll just post it on Instagram. But that's not always the most effective way to do things. So, I have some people that I worked with over the years that found that text message marketing worked best for their business, and they signed up for a service. You can't just text people from your phone. This would be more like an email newsletter, but via text. So there's some different SMS services out there that can do that. And they had an amazing conversion rate, when people got on their text list, and they did all kind of like giveaways to get people on the list. And it was really, really engaging, whereas an email list didn't work for them at all. So it's just about finding out, what works for you.
Yeah, it is. And it's also exploring things which, like we sort of, again, from this marketing day we were talking a lot about coming full circle with marketing and going back to the old fashioned ways of doing things, because not many people are doing that anymore. So when people get something through the post, and there was one guy there that did handwritten letters, didn't he? And it was just,
that was his whole business model.
His whole business was writing letters. So you would enlist his services to write you a load of whatever it is to do with your business.
Wow.
Yeah. And they have a load of writers, and they literally just write it out. And when you get something like that through the post these days, like it used to be the norm, and now it's like, oh, a handwritten letter, this intrigues me, I'm going to open it and see what it is. So it's even just thinking a little bit creatively, isn't it? And going like, because everybody's doing the online thing in a generalized way, and AI is being used in a very generalized way in a lot of cases, we need to start thinking, what else can we do that is going to get seen and heard? And I really like your Times Square analogy, because that is like sums it up perfectly, doesn't it? It's great with a small audience, make it like a huge audience, and all of a sudden it gets lost in the noise.
Yeah. So it's hard to say like, here's the answer. Here's how to get your billboard noticed in Times Square. But I think it is just doing something different. To kind of go along with that analogy, do you know the guy, like the Doggist, for example, which is a huge social media account, but he just goes around New York City, and he goes other places too, but he goes around New York City and takes pictures of dogs, but he talks to the people, has an actual conversation with them, gets to know them. It's like a little journalism project. And so somehow he's able to stand out in New York City, and he's not doing reels and dancing on videos and things like that. They're photos of dogs, which seems like, not the latest and greatest thing on social media, but because he takes the time to talk to people and be curious, that's what is different. That's what stands out about his account, and he's able to stand out.
Yeah, and it's often those simple things, isn't it? The things we're all armed with, the art of, I say that we're all armed with, the art of conversation, which is being lost, and it's bringing that back, isn't it? And going, how can I connect with people on a deeper level? How can I start building the trust right from the outset, rather than expecting people just to trust me because I'm just this person who appears online? And that's taking it one step further, isn't it? And I really like that way of thinking about it.
Yeah. Well, this is kind of full circle too. And I was talking about like your emails, like being yourself, being authentic, as much as that's such a buzzword now. But being yourself, just having those conversations. So, try sending an email out to your list that's just like, how's it going? What's going on in your world? How can I help you?
Yeah. And it sounds really silly to say like, I don't know, how can I stand out? How can I stand out? It's a busy marketplace. Just be you. That's the best advice you could ever get. But it's so true, isn't it? Just be you. People are buying from you for a reason. Can you show that in any way, in a really simple form? If the answer is yes, you will get people who connect with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's even more, and I feel like this conversation ends up weaving into most conversations now, but especially with AI getting as good as it is, and it's only going to get better, that ability to be yourself and to show that human connection, in our opinion anyways, like it's the most important thing you should be focusing on in your business, is that people can see you, they can connect with you. They're not connecting with copy that you've created in ChatGPT unless like you've added your flavor into it again, and it's like it still is you, it's just helped you bounce ideas off of it. I like to refer to ChatGPT as an extra member of the team. Like it's just an intern that I chat to. Vicky struggles with this concept a lot.
Yeah, I do get a bit jealous of Chatty, to be fair. She spends more time talking to him.
Oh, but no, it's how can you incorporate AI in a way that still allows you to be you, that still allows you to look at your business. And I love that tip earlier about Googling and ChatGPTing yourself and your business to see what's coming up and what's standing out, because these are the things that, and I know we've touched on it, but again, just for extra emphasis, like all of these things, if you are in the digital space, you have to be considerate of, are you showing up on Google? Are you showing up in these AI models? Like when people search you, what is coming up? Because
well, not even when people search you, but if people search dog trainer near me or dog trainer who specializes in XYZ, are you coming up? Because most people probably don't know your name yet if they don't know you, so they can't Google your name.
Yeah. It's, all of these are like such valid points that I think, I know if I was listening to this like several years ago, I'd be thinking, fuck my life, like where the hell do I start with all of this? Like it's so overwhelming. But I think it's important to state this as the reality and go, it is overwhelming. There is a lot to do, but we only need to take step 1. And then you take step 2. But it's figuring out where you are, how you need to do everything, and then really starting to move it forward. Because again, I think the business landscape is it's just a lot, isn't it? There is so much, especially as a solopreneur. So much to do.
There's a lot to do. There's a lot of people out there telling you, you have to do this, you have to do that. And it's very hard, especially if you're like, oh, shiny object, I'm gonna go like do that. I fall for it myself too all the time.
But it's also, the danger is that people don't do anything because there's so much choice, and that's paralyzing, isn't it, for people as well? What are you going to say?
I was going to say, I want to circle back too, because I think it was a poignant point that we need to pick back up on this low ticket membership. And I just want to explore and have this conversation between the three of us of what do we actually think of low ticket memberships? And rather like how, not necessarily what do we think of them in terms of like value for money or anything like that, but how do they work as a business when you are a solopreneur with a relatively small audience? Thoughts, people. Okay. Go for it.
Let me tell you what I think.
She's ready.
So I'm in one membership that I can think of that is a $9 a month membership. And she's got over 1,000 people, maybe thousands of people in this membership. And I think that looking at this, I can tell that it's hit a plateau. She's very transparent about sharing her goals, and she's very upfront. And I think that's another kind of good trick, like for your own accountability, is to tell your audience, what your goals are and what you're working on, and then you kind of have to do it. But she'll be very transparent about her goals of, this next launch, I want to get this many members. But this membership's been around for five years, I think, something like that. And it's definitely hit a plateau because it just has, there's just so many people. And with memberships, what people don't think about is the churn rate. And so churn means how many people are canceling their subscription. And it's not necessarily because of you. It could be the economy, or they don't have time, or their life has changed directions and they're just not interested in this topic anymore. So you have to think about how many people are canceling. And then, I also run my own membership. And something that kind of that I think about a lot is engagement rate. So it's great that you have all these members, but are they showing up for your calls? Are they using your stuff? Because if they're not engaged and they're not using it, they will eventually cancel, I think. And it's also just hard for you as the host to keep going when people aren't showing up and aren't participating in things. So the membership model, I've had my membership for 5 years. And I think that memberships 5 years ago were like the new hot thing. Everyone was starting it. And it kind of had it kind of went up and then it went down. And maybe, the ones that are sticking through are the ones that people are starting now, just have to be very intentional. I think nowadays you can't just say, I'm starting a membership, it's $9 a month or $19 or $29 or whatever it is, and people will just immediately flock to it. I don't think that works anymore. You need to have something that's really intentional and that people really need. And I think the other kind of struggle with memberships is wanting to provide people everything, but not being mindful of the fact that, they are paying X amount. And sure, maybe your take home at the end of the month is worthwhile. But, you don't want to give people an overwhelming amount of information, because that also might lead them to cancel because they feel like they can't get to it all and they're missing out on everything. So, it's really very nuanced and very complex. It's not as simple as, I'm just going to charge people this amount and we'll just do this thing. There's a lot to memberships, and these very low ticket offers. You have to be, you have to think that these people aren't necessarily going to be upselled to the next thing. Someone who wants the $9 membership, you think, I'll get them in the door and then I'm going to sell them this package and then they're going to do this other thing. They might not, because they're the $9 person. So, there's a lot of different things going on.
I think there are a lot to manage memberships as well.
Yeah. And I guess it's like, what's the purpose of it? What's someone going to get when they come in? Is it your only product? And if it is, the question is like, it depends what your goal for a person is. Like, are you going to take them through something all the way, or are you going to just leave them to it? How much input? Yeah, like you mentioned, like how much input from you, how much information are you overload? Like there's so many factors there. And I think it can work really well with a product suite where it sits alongside and it works like that. But then if it's the only thing that somebody's offering and that's the solution and that's the only way that somebody can get a solution, is that potentially the right way to approach, say, a dog training business? If the demand is there, if that people are actually going to go away and do the work, great. But if there is another option that maybe they can choose this option here, or they can go for the high support option, maybe that's where it sits quite well, because again, you're giving somebody a choice.
Yeah. And I think you have to think about like, what path is everyone on? So like for a dog training membership, you might have, say it's a puppy training membership, and people can join anytime they want. Well, some people are joining and their puppy doesn't know how to sit and stay. Other people, their puppy wants to work on, much more advanced things, because in 1 week they mastered that sit stay, or not mastered it, but they figured it out a little bit. You don't need to keep teaching that every single week. But if new people are joining every week and they need that, it's kind of, it's just kind of like, what's the path that people are on?
What's the journey
and like? Is a membership the right thing, or would it be better to do a 4-week program or something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's they're all very valid points. And again, I think we could talk about membership as like a whole workshop thing, because I think they do have their place. But I think, again, social media and other coaches and all of that kind of stuff, and certainly over the last few years, it feels like membership has become a bit of a buzzword within itself, and going like, oh yeah, we'll just stick a load of, or like an online resource vault. It's like, oh, we'll just create a load of videos and then people can just pay to access those videos, and it's those $9 in my back pocket every month. I'm like,
but then how often do we hear, I've got this thing, I've got like 2 people on it though, and I created it. It took me hours and loads of input from me, and I've got 2 people and it doesn't work. And that's the kind of thought process around it. And it won't work if you don't do all the things that we've been talking about within this episode. So it is a really tricky thing because again, what I think people do is go, that's a great idea. Let's start one. Zero strategy, zero thought about the customer journey and how it's going to take them from here to here. Or if it even is going to take them from here to here, it's even set up in that kind of way. And then we go, oh, it doesn't work. What can we do to make it better? And then there's a whole load more work to be done. So it's like thinking ahead, which I know we find hard as human beings. We just want to do the thing and it sounds like we're missing out. Everyone else is doing it. Let's just get stuck in. And then you're just creating yourself a whole load more work and time and money. Potentially.
Yeah. Well, and my membership, I'm wrapping up the 5th year of it. So, do you want to keep doing your membership 5 years from now? Because, do you want to set all of this up if you don't see yourself doing it in 5 years, or if it's going to be really different in 5 years? And of course, we can't see the future. We don't know what will happen, but it's not worth setting that all up if you're going to do it for 1 year, really.
Yeah, there's just a lot that goes into it. And I love that you mentioned that churn rate as well, because it's something I don't think is a conscious factored in thought, that low ticket stuff. And again, like just for clarity and context for everyone listening, like it's the way we kind of look at businesses is having a product suite. It's not having just one product. You're going to have like a free product, a low ticket product, a mid range, and your high range, but depending on what stage of business you're at. So the way we would teach things is that if you are kind of like a startup business, or you're within your first year or two and you've not maybe hit that 80K annual turnover mark yet, just stick on one product, one high ticket product, 1-to-1, go all in, get really good at it, then grow and scale and start to introduce mid-range and low ticket and free stuff all the time. So I think the awareness of which stage of business you're in is going to be incredibly helpful. But then it's always being mindful that no matter which product or service you're looking at, but especially when it comes to low ticket membership, that churn rate is high, which means you've got to have an incredible lead strategy, because you've got to keep getting new people in.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I love what you said. I don't want to gloss over that, of when you're starting, start with the high ticket offer, the 1-to-1. Then as you grow, add in this other stuff. And I think that's so smart, because I think when people are starting, the problem is you don't have the confidence. You say, people are only going to pay, $29 for this. People aren't going to pay. But you need to just force yourself to do those more specialized, higher ticket things. And then, think about those lower ticket things later, because the lower ticket stuff is equally as much time and effort to manage as that one high ticket thing. So that's something else to consider, is that, just because it's one to many doesn't mean that it's like no work. There's still going to be a lot of effort and time involved.
Yeah, and I'd actually sort of flip it and say, like, it's harder to sell anything low ticket than it is high ticket.
Because you have to sell a lot.
Yeah, we've got a membership of a form, and we sell much more of our group program that's a high ticket than we would at that one, which is 27 quid a month. So like, it's the value behind it as well. It's the outcome, it's all the stuff. But yeah, it's harder. Like, if we could have a full-time job just getting people into that membership.
Yes.
Pretty much
daily. Marketing the membership is a whole job, and then running the membership is different.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Why do we do it? Why do we do this to ourselves?
Because other people do it and we think it's a great idea.
Oh gosh, the journeys and tribulations of being an entrepreneur. You've got to do all this stuff, but theoretically,
I think you have to do it to figure it out. Like you have to figure it out. Trial and error is that's been my life.
Yeah.
And then occasionally, hiring some sort of expert coach or a one-time session or something like that, someone who's going to be like, this is what you should be doing. And that'll open my mind to so many ideas. It'll give me 6 months worth of work to do. So, I really, that kind of, those little checkpoints and check-ins with people who really are experts has kind of helped give me direction. So I'm not just endlessly toiling away at stuff that doesn't work.
I feel like that could go off on another tangent as well.
I'm sick of this.
Yes, but no, I'm very mindful of everybody's time here. So, tell us about your new venture then. So you're going into your new podcast of dog enrichment. Tell us all about that.
Yes. So after 8 years of podcasting at the Wear, Wag, Repeat podcast, I've done hundreds of interviews, but I just, needed to switch it up. If you do something for 8 years, sometimes you need to, change it up a little bit. So, my dog, Lucy, she was 13 and a half. She passed away in June of 2025. And Lucy is really, she was a therapy dog, did trick dog stuff. We did amazing things. We were almost on a reality show together. We did so many adventures, paddle boarding together. She loved that. We just did so many things. And she was so smart and loved learning new things and exploring new things. And she was so confident. And so she just loved enrichment and trying out any kind of different thing that I was doing with her. So when she passed, I, needed some time off. And in my time off, I was just thinking that I wanted to kind of get back to my roots of Wear, Wag, Repeat. When I started my blog 13 years ago, I was posting about all the fun stuff that we did together, all these adventures and just how to make, life with your dog the best that it can be. That was my mission when I started. And then along the way, I started the business podcast, the business membership, all the business stuff. And I started teaching people marketing. And in June, I just kind of thought, I want to get back to helping people make the most of life with their dog. And so, I'm now have so much experience in the past decade plus of growing an online business that I decided a podcast, and especially a video podcast, would be a really fun way to do that. And putting all the episodes on YouTube, plus Spotify, Apple, all the other places that it exists. But it's just been really fun. So the new podcast, also, I've been learning from what I've done in the past. So my other show just keep recording until I die, I guess. There's no end date. And with this new show, I decided season 1 was going to be 10 episodes. Because I knew I could commit to that. I could do it. I could be excited about it for 10 episodes, and then I'll give myself a break. So I've really tried to set it up for success and set myself up for something I'm really going to enjoy. And I know when I enjoy it and I'm passionate that other people will enjoy listening to it and watching it. So each episode is a deep dive into the science behind a different category of enrichment. So, we've done cognitive, food-based enrichment, visual. The next episode coming out is auditory enrichment. We'll have social, physical, environmental. So it's really diving deep into all of this because I've seen so many average pet parents are on social media and they see all these ads of buy this toy, buy this puzzle, buy this thing. And what I feel is that you don't need to buy all of that stuff. And there's a lot more to enrichment than just doing puzzles and snuffle mats and stuffed Kongs and that kind of stuff. And people are getting more aware of safari walks, but there's still so much more. There's so much more below the surface. And I think the reason why this kind of stuff doesn't pick up a lot of traction on social media is because, doing something like sit and watch the world go by with your dog, or giving your dog a window perch, or playing calming music for your dog, it doesn't make for great social media content. It's like the subtle little things. And when I was almost cast on this reality show with Lucy, what I realized in that process too was that the magic that we have with our dogs, the bond that we have with our own personal dogs, which is really what we want everyone to experience, it's not captured well on TV or video. And so, that working on that reality show, they did it for one season and then it was canceled. And I was like, I just thought it was because it's just not easy to capture that spark on camera. It's something that you have to feel in your heart, and see in your dog's eyes. And so, yeah, that's kind of what inspired me to create this new podcast. And I'm really excited because it'll be this like 10 episode season that people could go and listen to the whole thing anytime they want. It'll be up there, forever. And it's not something that's going to keep going and going and going. There might be a season 2 next year. But I really wanted to design it in a way that I could say, hey, you want to know about dog enrichment? Here, check out this series. You can listen to all 10 episodes and you'll know a lot about dog enrichment.
Love that. What's the name of the podcast?
It's just called Dog Enrichment with Tori Mystic. So again, using what I've learned about SEO, make it very simple.
So it might be a really good resource, not only for dog owners, if there's any dog owners listening, but dog professionals to send as a resource to their clients as well. So it sounds like a really useful resource.
Yeah. And even if you feel like, oh, I know everything about canine enrichment, we all have different ideas. And this might spark an idea. You just never know where you might get an idea from. Even if you feel like you know everything about the topic, if you learn one new thing that you can pass on to someone, I think that's worthwhile. So a lot of pet professionals have been listening and commenting and telling me that they're sharing it with their clients. So that's really wonderful too.
Fabulous. And where else can people find out about you? Is it your YouTube channel best to head to?
Yeah, just ask ChatGPT.
Nicely done.
No, but you can go YouTube. Just search for Tori Mystic on there. Of course, you can go to my website. And I also set up, since I have learned that where, wag, repeat is hard for people to say and hard for people to spell, I set up a new URL that's just toriknowsdogs.com. And if you type that in, that will take you right to my website.
Nice and simple. Love it.
Like it. Oh, thank
simple.
you.
That's like the theme. Just I want to make everything simple.
It's great. It's very good business sense. Thank you ever so much for joining us today. I've really enjoyed this chat.
Yeah, it's been really good.
Thank you. I think we could go on and on and on all day. So it was really fun to talk to you.
Don't tempt us because it's your morning.
Can stay
I've
here.
had my coffee. I'm ready to go. Let's get talking.
Thank you so much.